For everybody that can hear me, it's 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Winona County Planning Commission to order, and we will start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is quite a new experience for me, and I guess Steve probably's got quite a little experience here. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'll try and muddle through it. Does anybody have any objections to approving the agenda as it is written on the first page of our commission packet?
This is Kelly, and I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, Steve seconded it. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for the May Planning Commission meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The agenda has been approved.
The motion was to approve the minutes, wasn't it?
Well, maybe,
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I should have said
It was, she said, she said minutes.
I did say
Oh,
minutes.
Kelly did.
oh, okay. Well, at least I didn't make the mistake. Is it an agreement that we just have Annie change that to the minute or the agenda instead of the minutes?
That will be fine.
All right. All right. Then, has anybody got any problems with the minutes as written?
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay. For the second time, Kelly made the motion. Is there a second?
Mark Clark seconds it.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 20th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The minutes are approved as written. All right, then at this time, we're going to go to docket 5-21-20-01 to consider the petition of Lumen Farms. And I believe Eric is supposed to have this presentation. Okay, is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
But he isn't here?
I'm not seeing him on the call.
So then what do we do?
Well, I'll pull up the presentation and we'll go through it.
Okay.
This is Eric. Can everybody hear me?
Oh, there he is.
Hey, there you go. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was unmuted, so I think I got that corrected. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to follow along with the page number that,
Now you disappeared again, Eric.
how about now?
There, that's better.
Okay, for some reason, it seems to be going off on me.
If only we had a new cell tower to carry the signal.
Are you
That's a
there
good
yet,
one.
Eric? Okay, you're probably gonna have to fill in here because I don't hear him.
I don't hear him either. Hang on a second. So can one of the people that has ownership of this meeting pull up a share screen from me or not?
You want Ann to try and do something for you?
Yeah, she can either pull.
Kay,
pull up.
you want the slides? You want the slides
Yeah.
shared? Okay, I got them.
Okay. Okay. So the project is for the construction of a 300-foot telecommunications tower with access buildings and equipment. And it is per zoning ordinance 10.4.6, parent 6. Next slide, please. If anybody can, or maybe I can. No,
I
you
got it.
can't. All right.
Somebody's got it.
So it's in Utica Township, and they stated no comment on their form. So they were neutral on the proposal. Whistle Pass Drive within the parcel ending in 972. Next slide, please. And Eric, if you come back, join in anytime or take over.
Yeah,
So
no, can you hear me now?
Yeah?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm getting a message that says, I think due to the volume, that it says goodbye, and then I get disconnected. So I think it has something to do with the volume of people that are probably attending the meeting. And I was one of the probably last ones to join now. So I guess I'll go. But Kay, you were probably given the overhead presentation.
Right. So we're on page 2 of the overhead, but do you want to cut to the chase if you like? I mean, this is just a synopsis of the information from the staff report.
Sure.
So go for it.
The applicants, Lumen Farms, and represented by Kurt Walter, Powder River Development, wish to put a 300-foot telecommunication tower. It would be 310 feet with a lightning rod. The staff report kind of lays out the position and the natural attributes of it. It's in Utica Township. It's on the south side of Whistle Pass Drive, which is a Utica Township road. It's on a parcel that's 108 acres in size. The setbacks in which it would be located are listed in the summary in the staff report. We have snippets of the comprehensive plan and the findings of fact in the staff report. Staff recommends that if they recommend approval, that there is 12 conditions for your consideration. The PowerPoint, there's some pictures that were taken back roughly about a month ago showing that it's trying to be located in an old pasture area off of prime soils. There would be an access drive coming from the north, which would angle south to the tower site. There's a GIS map that shows that. We did receive some engineer diagrams that show the structural specifications that were submitted by the applicants. The Township Board, Utica Township Board, I believe they submitted the township acknowledgement form that indicates that they have no comments on the request. And I guess I'll hold on here in case there's any questions. So with that, I'll turn it over back to the chair, Eugene.
Okay, is there anyone on the commission that has any questions?
This is Patrick. What bearing, if any, does this have on, I'm thinking of distance learning? You know, how will this benefit the residents in the area and the Lewiston Public Schools?
If I can answer that, it might be a better question to the applicant, the Representative Kurt, but it's my understanding with the boosted extra tower that all wireless devices of the broadband network would be improved.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Jacob, I'd have a question. Will this have 5G capability or any part of 5G, or will it come in the future on this tower?
Again, I might want to ask that to the applicant.
Okay, is there, at this time then, does Kurt Walter of Powder River Development, can you hear me? And are you prepared to give your presentation about docket number 1?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Apparently, yeah. I am Kurt Walter. I am represent AT&T for this project. Eric's staff report pretty much covers as well as anybody could what we're trying to do. AT&T has a coverage and capacity concern in this area, so this will help with both AT&T and the nationwide FirstNet broadband system for the first responders. It will help for anybody using the wireless system for AT&T and all the first responders that will be using it also, for all the rural areas that this will cover. So I'd be here to answer any questions you guys might have.
Steve, do you want to repeat your question?
Yeah. Is this will this have 5G capability or current when it's built, or will it in the future, or what's the plans for it?
It will have capability to do anything 5G, 6G, beyond that. I'm not sure when AT&T rolls out 5G in this area, whether they'll put the 4G information or equipment on initially, and then, you know, maybe next spring 5G covers all of rural Minnesota. I'm not sure exactly when the rollout is, but yes, the tower itself will be able to hold any wireless facility technology. So 4G, 5G, 6G, whatever comes next, it'll have the capability of handling that. For not only AT&T, but T-Mobile, Dish Network, anything that comes.
Chairman Hanson, I have a question. This is Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick.
Mr. Speaker, how does this benefit, if anything, the Lewiston school system and the students that are in rural areas to access long distance learning? Can you address that?
It's close to the high school, so you should be able to see it and use any broadband wireless that's accessible to this tower. So if I'm not an expert on technology itself and you know, laptops and what everybody's using right now, but if you can access the broadband on this tower, yes, it will help everybody that can see that tower. This will provide good in-building coverage for the city of Lewiston. So all the businesses, all the homes in Lewiston should have good coverage inside their houses. The rural roads that can see this, good in-car coverage, and anywhere you can see this tower in the rural areas will help any students that need to get to it.
Has any contact been made with the Lewiston Public Schools and even, I don't know, as far as St. Charles maybe? Just curious about that.
Hey,
Not that I'm aware of. AT&T could be corporate-wide going, you know, working through the school systems on another project or anything. So
okay.
I'm not familiar with it, but they're available for anybody that can use it.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions for Kurt? Hearing none, at this time, will someone make a motion to open the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-01?
So move.
Patrick moves. There's a
I'll
second?
second.
Mike Flynn, second.
All right, Mike Flynn seconded. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion to open the public hearing? Hearing none, all those in favor of opening the public hearing for docket number 5-21-20-01, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing for docket number 1 is now open. Anyone that's connected with us that wishes to speak, please tell us your name and address and say what you have to say. For the second time, anyone wishing to speak to docket number 01, please identify yourself and say what you have to say.
This is Joel Lumen. It may not be particularly important, but I thank you for having a Zoom meeting so I can join. I would speak in favor of it. I appreciate the comments and questions tonight.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Could you state your address?
Yes, my wife and I live in Mankato, but I do still farm in the area. My mom lives in the area, and my sister and brother-in-law live on the home farm.
Thank you. For the third and final time, anyone wishing to speak to docket 01, please state your name and address and what you have to say. Hearing no response, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Mark Clark makes the motion to close the public hearing. And who seconded it?
Patrick.
Patrick seconds it. Is there any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on docket 5-21-20-01 say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. The public hearing is now closed. Any one of the commission members desiring to speak or have any questions at this time?
I have a general question, Eugene and Carlson.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, I read this stuff a week ago, but the NEV testing kind of came to mind. I know we do that with the is it the wind turbines or no, solar? We ask for that upfront NEV testing now. And I wondered if the cell tower would be something that would be applicable to that, or
Does anyone have any response to that question?
This is Mark. The reason the other ones are required is because they generate electricity. This one basically will use electricity and it'll have a backup generator, I believe, but it's not for, it's not a commercial production plant for electricity.
okay.
Would be the explanation I would have.
At this time, I don't believe that we have required that for any other cell tower application we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you, Lynn?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. I don't know how to go about this, but is there any other discussion by the commission? Or if there isn't, can we
This
go
is
to the
Mark.
findings? Whoops, go ahead.
This is Mark Clark, and if there is no more discussion, I would like to approve the findings of fact.
Well, wait, Mark, we gotta ask if there's
Okay.
any
You want to go
comments.
through them? Okay, alrighty.
Okay? All right. I got the findings of fact on the screen in front of me now. Is there anyone that wants anything discussed about the findings of fact? I'm just gonna read down the numbers and we'll go from there, if that's okay with the rest of the commission.
Go for it.
All right, number one.
Yes.
Number one. Number two. Number three. Number four. Number five. Number six. Number seven. Number eight. All right. Is there any questions or comments on any of the 8 findings of facts? Okay, at this time, let's move on to the conditions for the approval of this conditional use permit application. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Okay, at this time, is there anybody that has any additional questions on the 10 conditions for the, oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 more here. My screen didn't move fast enough. Number 11. Number 12.
At this time, I'd like to second the valid motion that Mark Clark made earlier. That's still on the floor.
Okay, so Steve seconds Mark Clark's motion to, say it again, Mark.
I move that we approve the findings of fact, the conditions, and for approval of it.
Okay. And Steve seconds it. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to recommend the approval of docket number 1 with the findings of fact and the conditions, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The motion to recommend the approval to the Winona County Commissioners is passed. Okay, at this time, let's go to docket number 2. The petition of Dave and Joyce Myers for an interim use permit in regards to the following. I guess, Eric, you're supposed to have this one too?
Right. Mr. Chair, can you hear me okay? This is Eric.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, we'll proceed into agenda item number 2. This is an interim use permit to allow a secondary dwelling unit in addition to the primary dwelling unit. And get down to, this is located on a parcel that's approximately 31.5 acres in size. The chapter of the ordinance is 10.4.626, which allows this as an interim use permit for family members needing or receiving health care. Also with the notice, you'll see reference to chapter 11, which talks about the shoreland district. So since the property or the site in question is within 300 feet, it is also designated as a shoreland district. The petitioners wish to build a 24 by 50 home structure that would be attached to a current detached garage to utilize as a dwelling unit. That improvement is proposed by the son, Andy Myers, who will be providing caretaking duties for his parents. There's a letter in the packet that talks about that arrangement. The main district is the Agricultural Resource Conservation District. The applicants submitted a letter and a site plan showing the improvements that they would like to do on the property. The Norton Township Board did sign the township acknowledgement form indicating that they support the request. A couple of the highlights. I believe in the packet there was also a floodplain area that was identified that got pretty close to the existing dwelling site. But Blake, one of the things that he did before he left is he did pull up the new proposed FEMA floodplain maps. And in this case, on this site, it was actually to the applicant's benefit. It looked like the floodplain was actually being scaled back on that site considerably more. Staff has addressed the findings, and we also have references to the comprehensive plan that talks about housing, basically, and also since it is agricultural, to as long as it doesn't prohibit or inhibit agricultural uses, it's a proposed use that is compatible with that district. Findings of fact have been provided by legal. Staff has recommended, in this case, 6 conditions upon approval. The applicant and myself had talked briefly today too, and he may add this in his comments. There is the one condition that he wants to make sure isn't negative in his opinion, in that looking way down the road as this interim use might expire due to a death or something, it might be a case where the new improved structure might be the primary dwelling and that the old house might be removed. So he didn't want the conditions to construe that he would have to remove his unit, because if conditions warrant, it might be the opposite. So he wanted to make sure that those conditions would not prohibit that approach. So with that, there the 7 findings of fact, and there's also a few additional standards that were added due to the fact that it was in the shoreland district. But since it mainly is the agricultural section, that's staff has the emphasis on those points in this. In the packet, I'm just getting to page 87. There's a GIS map that shows that it's a parcel that's primarily wooded. There's no cropland really involved with this site. There's also an image that shows kind of where the existing floodplain layer is. And, you know, I guess with that, I will turn it back over to Gene, and I'll answer any questions that come up.
Okay, does any member of the commission have a question for Eric at this time?
But yeah, usually you talk about prime soils, whether or not it's a field or woods or not. Does that not apply here?
No, it does not. The average slope at the site is, I think, it's roughly 5 to 6%, and the soils would not be conducive for prime crop equivalency ratings.
Okay, at this time, is the applicant available for comment? Andrew, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you all hear him?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, basically, I'm just looking to put an addition out here. Because my parents' health, my dad's health is pretty much failing badly. And he's got to the point where he can no longer maintain the house and the property. His condition is failing. He's got COPD really bad, and he can't walk from even one side of the house to the other without having to stop for oxygen. So it's putting a burden on my mom, and she's having to hire people to do all of the normal maintenance things because nobody's around to take care of them. So my suggestion is, instead of me driving back and forth all the time, that I put a house out here, or a place for me to stay, so I can help these guys out when they age.
Okay, is that all the comments you wish at this time?
For you guys, I think so. I just looking for the approval for it.
Okay, is there any questions of the commission members for Andrew?
Commissioner or Chairman Hanson, this is Patrick. Andrew, I applaud you for undertaking that. I think that's a stellar move on your part, and I wish you the best down the road there, taking care of
Yeah, thank you.
your dad.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you too.
At this time, would someone make a motion to open the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-02?
So moved.
Steve, you moved?
I'll second.
Patrick,
Who moved?
I did.
Patrick, did you do it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right, so Patrick makes the motion and Lynn seconds it.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this motion to open the public hearing? Hearing none, all those in favor of opening the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-02, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now open, and I see Rachel has joined us. Can you take and unmute yourself, Rachel?
There she
Yeah.
goes.
There we go. Okay.
I don't have anything to say.
No, I don't realize that, but I just, your name came up on the screen, so I just acknowledged you were here.
Oh, I was here the whole time. I think I just was maybe muted before.
Okay. All right. If there's anyone wishing to speak to docket number 2, please state your name and address and say your piece. Is there anyone wishing to speak on for or against docket number 2 or petition number 2? Please state your name and address and say what you have to say. For the third and final time, is there anyone wishing to speak to docket number 5-21-20-02? Please state your name and address and say what you have to say.
Commissioner Jacob, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Steve has moved to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Mark will second it.
Mark seconds it. Is there any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, all those in favor of closing the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-02, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing for docket number 2 is now officially closed. Does anyone on the commission have any questions for anyone regarding the petition?
I do.
Kelly,
I'd like to make a motion, but I'd like to run it by the assistant attorney. I think we can make motions to approve and then just discuss any conditions or findings of fact after the motion has been made, correct?
That's correct. You can make a motion to adopt the findings of fact and recommend approval with the conditions. And then after there's a second, there could be discussion if there was any needed, but otherwise there could just be a vote on that motion.
Okay, then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we accept the findings of fact and recommend for approval with the condition.
all right. Kelly has made the motion to accept or recommend the acceptance of the docket number 2 with the findings of fact and the conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Mike Flynn, I second that.
Patrick, you seconded it?
Yes.
Okay. As I get kind of confused here.
I'll have to be more spontaneous giving you my name.
Okay, that's fine. We're getting through this. I'm happy for that. Although, all right, is there any discussion on the findings of fact at this time? Do you want me to, Stephanie, do you want me to read them, the numbers, or?
You don't need to unless there's something that people want to discuss. The motion has been made, so if there's no discussion, you can move straight to a vote.
Okay, so for the second and final time, if nobody has anything they want to ask or inquire about, we're going to go on to the conditions for the permit.
The motion included approval of the conditions as recommended as well.
Right.
This is Mark Clark. I've got a question with what he asked for as far as down the road, if he wants, because it's pretty clear in there that he has to keep the house and, so he only has one place to stay there.
Correct.
When his parents are gone. Now, is that clear enough the way it is now that he can keep either the new house or the old house? Or does it state that he has to keep the old house and destroy what he just built?
No, I think it's clear. Condition number 5 addresses that. It provides, and actually, why don't I just share my screen so that everybody's looking at the same thing I am. Number 5, so it's only as petitioned, and when the stated use no longer exists, that it'll be converted to an accessory structure or removed. But it provides for an alternative that if one of the homes is removed, so it doesn't matter which one, or reoccupied by individuals consistent with the permit, then all they have to do is provide notice about it and occupancy of the dwellings on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, is there any other questions or comments on either the findings of fact or the conditions? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the approval of docket 5-21-20-02 with the conditions and findings of fact as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, I say that this docket number 2 was approved or recommended to be approved to the county commissioners. I'm sorry. And so I believe, Stephanie, that is the final for docket number 2.
Yep, now it moves to the county board and you can move on to petition number 3.
Okay, at this time, let's go to docket 5-21-20-03. I believe Eric has got this one too.
That's correct. Can you hear me okay, Gene?
Yes, I can.
Eric, just so you
Okay.
know, your slides are up on the screen. So if you want to walk through them, we can move them if you let me know when to move them.
Okay, I'll try to reference my packet number. PC 5-21-23, the applicants wish to amend an existing conditional use permit. It's in the Village of Homer. The zoning district is CD2, and it also has underlying districts of agricultural resource, which is in the rear part of the portion of the parcel, which is located to the south. And it's also shoreland along Old Homer Road. There's currently a number of buildings on this property. There's currently roughly a 54 by 75 structure that's currently being used for storage. And within this cluster, they wish to now open a commercial fitness, nutrition, exercise enterprise from that structure. Kind of glancing at the staff report, I'm on page 102 of the packet, and section 10.75 lists the conditional uses that are commercial uses in nature, everything from retail trade to commercial recreation, including bowling alleys, office, hotel, restaurants, cafes, liquor, wholesale trade, automobile service stations, and the number that when there's a couple of references, but there's also E, which is other similar commercial uses. The staff report contains multiple notations of previous conditional use permits that have been issued throughout the years. This has been a very busy site throughout the years with various different commercial enterprises. As of December 2015, the last one that was issued was for the building next door to this one, which is a sublease also, in which they're operating from a building there, an auto repair business. And it references on the type of conditions that were placed on that conditional use permit at that time. And roughly about 8-9 months before that, the applicant also received a conditional use permit for a commercial storage facility. Those GIS maps do not show some of those improvements yet that have been completed, but the pictures that are in the slides will show where the commercial storage facilities are, which are immediately adjacent on the other side of this proposed enterprise. And it lists the type of conditions that were placed on that one. A couple of highlights. That segment of Old Homer Road is actually a designated county road too. It's a local road. Setbacks are 65 feet from the center line. There's also, since it is shoreland, there is some additional standards that have been introduced in the findings due to the fact that it's within 1,000 feet of the Mississippi River. Just, I guess, scrolling through the staff report on page 108 through 111 talks about, hope everybody has had a chance to review the staff analysis. There's entries on the comprehensive plan that there's segments that talk about the county's desire to have promotion and development of a full range of commercial activities to support our region's projected population. However, since it is shoreland, there should be some control to basically unintended erosion or basically landscaping or vegetation removal. So there should try to observe some standards when it comes to mainly new building purposes, but this one's different in that we're dealing with an existing building on the site. Staff has recommended 10 conditions in this case. And the one thing that we would maybe want to be informed if the applicants are listening is that due to the timing and whatnot of this application, I know it was a pretty tight schedule for Homer Township Board to weigh in. So if you notice, the township acknowledgement form has not been signed yet, so I'm unaware of any new information on that front. So if the applicants could add to that point, that would be good information for the Planning Commission here tonight. If I get into the further exhibits that are attached on page 119, that's a good layout that shows that this is the easternmost building that they occupy, but as I noted, there's also now the commercial warehouse mini storage buildings that are to the east of this. And scrolling down into the PowerPoint, you can see again it shows, you know, the building that they wish to operate at 36,349 Old Homer Road, and it then shows the pictures on I believe page 125. The building that's straight ahead is the building in which they wish to operate this enterprise. You scroll down to the very next picture, that's a side profile, and you can see the auto garage to the west in the adjacent building. Again, there's also, I think, a picture earlier on that shows where the commercial warehouse facility is. So with that, I will turn this back over to the chair, Eugene Hansen.
Okay, is there any questions or comments from the commission members addressed to Eric at this time?
Commissioner Jean, or Chairman Jean, this is Patrick. I have one question for Eric.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if this is going to be used as a business and they're planning on having fitness classes there, what is the current status of the septic system? And in light of that, was on page 107, I think, a comment about checking into that. What are the parameters of that? If they have, you know, an average 20 people or 40 people at a class, what are the terms for how big a system that you might need to have?
Okay, Patrick, this is Eric. I'll respond to that.
Okay.
They did put in a newer system for that facility when, as the staff report mentioned, is that at one time it was a office and shop area for what they call Breezy RV. So they did have employees in an office setting where I believe they had maybe 2 bathroom units for both sex, or maybe just the one. And they had a calculation that was based on the number of people that had access to the bathroom facilities. The one thing, you know, that we need that might not have been spelled out in their business management plan that they also submitted for our review is just the number of people that would have access to a bathroom. Obviously, they would probably have something, and it gets to the number of people and the usage. So in order to determine that the sizing is adequate, we do have pretty good file information on the septic set that is there, but we do need to know a number, because sometimes they could assign 15 to 20 gallons per person per day that would be anticipated to use it. If they only have, you know, 10, 15, 20 people, my feeling would be is that system would be adequate. But if they have unbridled numbers of occupants that might use it, yeah, we might have a flow and usage issue there that we'd want to take a closer look at.
Is there, Eric, is there kind of a table, so to speak, that helps out with that kind of decision, or how do you go about kind of firming that up so it's, you know?
Yeah, it's basically out of the septic code. It's Minnesota Rule 7080 that lists the capacity and the flow rates that are associated with that.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else have a question for Eric?
Well, I guess Lynn would
Go
say
ahead,
something. Lynn would say something about the previous question, because in the business description for the company, they do say Monday through Friday they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes a day, and they expect up to 20 people per class. So that shows a pretty high usage right there for water. besides staff. Six classes offered a day, 5 days a week, up to 20 people per class.
Maybe, Lynn, maybe that would be better addressed to the applicant.
Okay.
I understand what you're asking, but that's my theory.
Sure.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Eric? Okay, at this time, does someone representing the applicant, can they get patched in and so they can make their presentation?
Hi, I'm Cody. I own the building that they're going to be hopefully opening the gym in. To answer that question about the septic tank, I don't know, is that table based off of gallons per day? Because these people would be there for only an hour at a time. So wouldn't the numbers be off? You know, if you got 20 people there for only an hour at a time, it's different than 100 people a day, all day.
If I can address that, this is Eric.
Yep.
There's different scenarios. There's office workspace settings, and then there's also commercial and retail, where depending on the walk-through traffic, there could be, you know, the incidental use, and it's kind of like patrons. And then, you know, depending on people, you could anticipate if they all use a stool and they use wash their hands, you could almost start assigning 5 gallons per person per day. So the numbers kind of have to be looked at and what they're fine-tuned as far as what they represent. And some of it is just how much access would they have to the bathrooms, or I mean, if you start going over those gallon flows, that's where you might have septic system issues that it can't keep up. If worst case scenario, you have 100 people a day and they all use it, you know, but that's still pretty minor numbers. That's still going to put you at about 500 gallons per day, which is very similar to a 3-bedroom house. So, you know, we would want some numbers to review that, but I think, you know, we're bringing attention to this because that could be one of the things that, you know, without noticing a whole lot, that's one thing that can be used pretty hard.
Okay, go ahead, Cody, with the rest, if you've got more comments.
I got nothing else to add to it.
Okay, so at this time, does any member of the commission have any other further questions for Cody? Seeing none, thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to open the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-03.
So move. Patrick.
Patrick moves. Second.
Lynn seconds.
Mike Flynn.
Lynn seconds it. Fine, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion to open the public hearing for 03? Hearing none, all those in favor of opening the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-03, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak to docket 03, please state your name and address and say what you have to say. For the second time, anyone wishing to speak to docket number 03, please state your name and address and say what you have to say. For the third and final time, anyone wishing to speak to docket 5-21-20-03, state your name and address and say what you have to say.
Commissioner Jacob, I'll move to close public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second. Patrick.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to close the public hearing for docket 5-21-20-03. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Anyone on the commission have any discussion on docket 03?
Mr. Chairman, this is Patrick. On page 113, recommendations, I'd like it stated for the record here that on number 4, facility must comply with the sanitary requirements under Chapter 3 of the Winona County zoning ordinance. Since we're that close to the Mississippi, and it's kind of it's unknown at this point in time anyway what the number of occupants, not occupants, but the usage might be.
Okay, so you just want to reinforce that that has to be observed, right?
Yes, yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Is there any other comments at this time?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
this is Eric from the planning department. I guess one question for the applicants, if they could, is I guess what I mentioned earlier, did the Homer Township Board get a chance to weigh in on anything?
Cody.
Yes. I haven't talked to anybody on the Homer Township Board. But I called one guy and that was like a month. I don't know what.
Okay, council, do we have to include that in our recommendation that this requirement has to be met?
I think we've done it that way in the past when the township form hasn't been received. That is technically something that is required for an application packet to have that township acknowledgement form, so it does need to be completed.
So we have to include that in the,
If you were considering approving this petition, probably the best way to make the motion would be to make a motion to adopt the findings of fact and recommend approval contingent on a either favorable or neutral comment or from the township acknowledgement form with the conditions that are proposed. And that way, if it is a negative, then it would probably need to come back before you for discussion.
okay, does somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Lynn moves. There's a second.
Second. Patrick.
Patrick seconds it. Is there any discussion on this motion? Do you wish to have the motion restated? If not, all those in favor of the motion that council just read us, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion, is this an amendment then?
No, that's the whole petition. The motion was to adopt the findings of fact and recommend approval contingent on receipt of favorable or neutral comment from the township with the conditions as proposed.
Okay. So we all understand what we just did here.
I hope so.
I do too.
Yes.
All right. So then at this time, the Winona County Planning Commission recommends the the passage or approval of this petition number 3 to the Winona County Board. Is there any further comments on petition number 3? Hearing none, I think we need Rachel to give us a Board of Adjustment update.
Sure. Hi there, everybody.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. I don't have the Board of Adjustment packet with me, but we had one item on our agenda this week, and we voted to deny the variance. The variance was for a tower that was going to be over twice the height of the zoning ordinance. Sorry, I can go grab the specific right downstairs if I need to.
Well, is any
Should I go grab it so I can give you the number and everything?
Does any commission member so desire, or
What was that?
is it sufficient?
What was the tower for?
It was a tower that was going to have a personal statement on top. So it was a structure of 85 feet. And it was a 50-foot tower with a 35-foot illuminated symbol on top that would show to I-90. So it was right on I-90, right before St. Charles.
Well, now I'm curious what the symbol was.
More details. It was a cross.
I think there's a new truck stop.
It was what?
This is Mike Flynn. I think it has something to do with the new development of Love's.
It was an illuminated cross, a 35-foot illuminated cross on a 50-foot pole.
I grabbed my packet.
Oh,
wow. You guys see it?
No.
Yep. And the concerns from the Board of Adjustment were about granting a variance of that size being so much way above the zoning law. So the zoning law is 35 feet, and this would have been 85. That was a big concern, and that there weren't any really practical difficulties unique to the property. The practical difficulties for why they wanted the symbol and the tower to be so high were to do with some trees along I-90, which is not unique to that property. So it was really the practical difficulties piece, and the most reasonable, it was not necessarily the most reasonable way to accomplish their goal. They could have had a smaller tower or, had a lot of other options to build such a thing without being so high and so outside of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments from the commission members?
Yeah, was it a unanimous vote?
It was.
It was a unanimous vote, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. At this time, Commissioner Jacob, do you have a county board update?
Yeah, I guess since the last time we met, I think the last petitions we worked on were the wind turbine up in Mount Vernon for Leroy and Sulin Cronenbusch. And the county board approved that. And then we had the Dennis and Deborah Allen Solar and Solar Club petition for a 1 megawatt solar project, and that was approved. And also Willie Erdman, 1 megawatt community solar project, and that was approved by the county board.
Thank you. I guess at this time, does anyone on the commission have any other comments or concerns that should be brought before this planning commission meeting?
Chairman Hanson, this is Patrick. Just a point of inquiry here. This is for Kay. Is she with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi. Quick question for you. With all the euthanizing or euthanization of livestock, seems like in western Minnesota, where does that stand here in Winona County? Have we had much of that or none or?
Well, as I mentioned last week in our mock hearing, there have been swine, piglets, as well as adult swine that have been euthanized. And so Ben Clear, our emergency management coordinator, has the phone numbers for those producers that are faced with finding enough space and the correct amount of distance to groundwater and so on. Carly McGinty, our feedlot officer, although the state is in charge through the Board of Animal Health, she has the contact information as well. Some turkeys have been foamed as well, so turkeys have been euthanized. Hopefully the plants get online and that problem can, the glut of animals backing up, can be corrected. As you may recall from a previous county board meeting, the commissioners voted to allow some relief for temporary animal overages so that producers were not faced with additional fees or registration alterations on our end, which would make sort of a bad situation more aggravating. And the county board aided us with helping to approve that.
Good. All right. Thank you, Kay.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns that should come before this meeting?
This is Mark Clark. This is for Kay again, or I think, or Ann, one of the two. I just got my packet today, so I'm glad I get it online because in today's mail is when I got my written packet. So I don't know if I sent it out, but it took me, today is when I got it.
That's curious, Mark, because I got mine 2 days ago and I'm from Rolling Stone too.
Yeah, same here, Lynn. Got mine 2 days ago.
Got it today.
Mark,
This is Mike Flynn, and I got mine today.
So just keep us posted on this because we didn't have as much of an issue with this a year ago. And so, perhaps mail volume is up with more people living, hanging out at home. But anytime you don't have at least 24 hours in your packet, let us know and a staff member will run it out to you. And I do apologize for that. We'll do our very best. So sorry about that.
No, that's fine because I have, because I get mine online. So, and I'm sure glad I do. Because, I don't get home until 5 o'clock or later, and that's when I get my mail, and so it wouldn't give me much time to look at it. So I had time over the weekend to look at it. So it's, so it's not that big of a deal. I usually don't even get it except for now. It's nice to have it to go along with the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And along those lines, I usually don't.
This is Mike Flynn. Can you hear me?
Steve, you go ahead, Steve, and then we'll get you, Mike.
Hey, yeah, I'm just going to dovetail on with what Mark was saying. I usually don't get the printed copy, but I was sure happy to have it this time because my electronic device is tied up with the meeting, so now I follow along on paper. And so you don't have enough electronics to handle the meeting and the agenda. So if we have to do this again, I would appreciate the mail out. Otherwise, save the postage if we're meeting at the county office building.
Okay, Mike.
Okay.
Mike, go ahead.
I just wanted to concur with Mark. I got mine today. Luckily, I did get the email with the packet, and I looked at it, but I did not get my packet till this afternoon.
Okay.
So the mail was 2 days later than others, and I'm only 5 miles from Winona.
I understand your frustration. I may have to defend staff a little bit here. They've got a lot to put together, and they can't really be responsible for our slow postal system. They've got to wait till everything's in, and then they have to try to get it to us in a timely manner. I did get mine, I think, 3 days ago, so they couldn't have been dragging their feet on it. It's a U.S. Post Office issue more than it is Winona County staff. But I certainly see the frustration. I don't know what the solution is.
I don't either. I guess hopefully this will be the only meeting that we have to conduct in this venue, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Just one quick comment. I don't think it's only the Postal Service. I believe we are using a third party mail them for us. So it's not just the post office.
I thought it came mine came in my U.S. Post mail.
So did mine.
Been a third party that collects it and then sends it out through the U.S. mail. And we did do a little bit of investigating of using an alternate service, but at this time, administration is using the setup that we've got. So if, again, you don't have a packet within 24 hours of the meeting time, just let us know and we'll run it out. It's been pretty rare, but it has happened to Kelly and Eugene a couple of times, and I'm sorry to hear that it's happened to Mike Flynn and some others. Our apologies.
Okay, is there anything else, council, that we need to do to legitimize this meeting, or can we adjourn?
We can't adjourn if somebody makes the motion.
So move. Patrick.
Okay, Patrick has moved to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Steve Jacobs seconds the motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The meeting is adjourned. I thank you all for your diligence and patience, and this went pretty good. It's